Welcome into the Off the Rails Friday edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Leaf talk for the next hour. I'm Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick. Wherever you're watching or listening, Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6. Thanks for coming along for the ride.
Yeah, text us at 590. We're going to read some questions on the air today. Take them. That way we don't have to plan the content.
No, just be honest. Just so we don't have to talk as much.
Yeah. Well, we'll do some your words, not ours for today. That would be great.
Hey, shortened week coming off 10 days for the holidays.
Yeah.
But
Thanks for that. By the way, calendar needed it.
It did feel like we jammed in a lot in these 4 days, including, a lot of talk about Willie Nylander and his situation. But there was a lot that was happening right off the bat, including the Ryan Hartman situation that led to a very interesting conversation on our Wednesday night panel here at Sportsnet. And that story won't go away. We'll get into that a little bit more in news and notes in the next 2 hours, but been a lot jammed packed.
Yeah. It's been good. This is a interesting time of year where, for the Leafs, you're figuring out what they are. Tomorrow night, they go into San Jose, a team who is in their last 10 games. Do you happen to know their record the last 10 games? The Sharks? I hate to put you on the spot here, but
better.
No.
Worse?
Yeah.
Worse.
It's 0-10-0.
Okay. I don't know why I was under the impression that they were okay.
They got sneaky hot there.
Yeah,
they had a moment where they were winning some games.
That's
sure.
right.
You're
Before
not
the
on your mind.
holidays.
Yes, they were winning some games, but they are not right now.
Outscored 43 to 15 in that stretch.
Somebody the other day just snuck by them by a goal. Didn't they lose 2-1?
Sounds
Yeah,
possible.
no.
Sounds possible.
So that's why I think they're doing really well, because they're losing by respectable scores now.
So, Tomas Hertl is their all-star. So the table is set for the Leafs here. They get the Sharks in San Jose on Saturday. Then they play the Sharks at home. I believe it's Tuesday night next week.
Tuesday, yep.
Nick Robertson is not going to play again, Kyper.
Okay, so
is it crazy? Just let me say this. Is it crazy that I feel like this is way more of a test than actual good teams, the Leafs?
No, based on what they've done against teams like this.
Because they played their best game in maybe 2 years against the Kings. In the second half of back-to-back, they squeaked by the Ducks. They played better, obviously. They killed them. They just couldn't get a goal. But going into this back-to-back, I saw Terry Koshan being like, well, if they play like they did, it's 2 wins. It's like, well,
can they
it never works that way.
Can they cruise one in?
Yeah.
Is the question I'm asking.
We need a night. We talked on yesterday about McDavid's last 4 or 5 games, and we are going to be joined by Oilers head coach Kris Knoblauch in the second hour of the show today, by the way. But we talked about McDavid in his last 5 games. 2 of the games, he played 16 minutes.
Yeah.
They won 5-0 in San Jose, and they didn't really have to use him. And then I forget what the other game was, but he had a lot of points, and they just 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Can they do that one night?
Okay, you mentioned Nick Robertson. We'll have a conversation on Nick. But let's start, JB, our Leaf edition here, with your article today, sportsnet.ca, because it's an intriguing one for me, because there's a sense right now that Sheldon Keefe, head coach of the Leafs, has made a strategic call on accountability. And, of course, it really was very well noticed and documented with David Kampf the other game.
Yeah.
But your article on sportsnet.ca is Sheldon Keefe's quest for accountability, and it comes with high stakes.
Mm-hmm.
So going into California, there's 17-10, I believe, or right around there. And again, the call for accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 17-10's a decent record, but when you look at the start of training camp to where they were going into California, there was still a sense that something's not right with the team, or the
it was a rough stretch there.
Inconsistency, rough stretch. And it's almost as if, I don't know, Sheldon himself discovered it, or someone went to Sheldon and said, not enough accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that sense that this was just like, where did it stem? Where did it come from for a team that looks comfortably, on their way to another playoff berth?
I mean, as for me, Kip, I wonder if it's not some just internal investigation into the question, why are we so bad against bad teams? What is happening that we have our best players just kind of, in these games where Boston goes and just handles their business against the worst teams in the league? Where are we in those games? And I think you just look at your team and say, what's happening? And it's almost like you ask so much of the star players for so much of the season. No matter who you're playing, it feels like, with these Columbus games, they're trying to come back from behind and they end up playing 25 minutes. And you ask so much of these guys all the time. And it's like, why can't they just come out and do that and handle their business? And when they don't, why don't they get sat down? Why don't they get demoted to the third line? Why isn't there any of that? And it's because there's no accountability, no demotions or benchings or whatever, that these guys know they can go out, see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, they're still going to get the time at the end of the game to chase, to be on the power play, to be on the man advantage when you pull the goalie. And this to me is maybe an effort to fix that, to say, we need some accountability in this team somewhere.
You want to go before I jump in?
Well, I would say that after the camp benching, the next game was the Kings game, right? Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
I think they played harder in that game.
That was their best game of the year.
I think they haven't, not even was it their best game. It's just the manner they played.
Yeah.
In terms of physicality.
And even the Anaheim game was a great
just
effort.
Playing hard.
Yeah.
And I guess, if you want to say that this mini little, whatever whack worked for the first two games, and maybe it can continue. Maybe this accountability thing did work. But just for me, the timing of seeing Kampf getting benched and them having two of their better performances of the year right away, it may have actually gotten through to them.
Yeah.
Kyper?
I said in the article that they either seem to be unfazed by it or bought into it. Go ahead.
I get everything you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, don't spare my feelings. Just go ahead.
No, I'm just now looking at Sheldon, and Sheldon's one of the longest tenured coaches in the league right now, right?
Crazy as that is.
What year are we in for Sheldon? 4? 5?
During the pandemic season. You got, right before the pause, was it? Or was it the year before that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Do we host a league show?
19?
I know, someone should.
2019.
Sheldon Keefe has been the coach there since here, I should say. This is much harder to find the answer. I thought, yes, 2019, November of 2019. It's 2024 now.
Are you guys in agreement with me that since he's been the coach, that up until this week, this is the most we've ever heard since he's taken over the word accountability?
No argument there.
Yes. Correct.
Okay. So, hey, Sheldon, what took you so long? And
well, I think there's a pretty clear difference,
but
this year than past years.
Listen, when you're a head coach, you want to set the table early when you're on a team, not in year 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's great, but now,
yeah.
So my question to you guys is it better late than ever? Did you just say that moments ago?
No, it's in your head.
Okay, then that's me.
Yeah.
Better late than ever, or, oh my gosh, maybe a little too late, or what?
Yeah, it's an old proverb that the best time.
This is when you should have done this right away.
Yeah, it's what is it about planting a tree? The best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The next best time is today. It's if you haven't done it already, it doesn't mean you got to do it at some point. If you're going to dig in, you got to start.
I can't help but, I don't really love to bring this up, but I can't help but look at the two different general managers, right? And we talked about this a ton in the offseason. It was a very, very popular talking point about what Sheldon Keefe would be like under a different general manager and what he would be like without Kyle Dubas around.
Okay.
Are we seeing that?
Like the tree went to him and said, Sheldon, where's the accountability?
Up until a week ago, not much difference.
But it's been 2 months, 3 months. We're talking October, November, December of Tree. Let me assess what we got. We're 30 games in and go to him. Okay. I've seen enough.
That's fair.
Can we have a little bit more?
Yeah.
They're still early in the relationship.
Yeah. That is fair. Do you think Brad got to him?
I think it's a fair point. I think it's a fair point. Yeah.
I totally agree with you in terms of Brad really needing a few months to absorb and see. And I don't know, did Brad in the last little while go, hey, Sheldon, we got to have a little talk here. We got to start using this word a lot more.
Yeah. Interesting enough, we talked yesterday on the show about Max Domi's ice time yesterday or against Anaheim.
9 minutes.
Yeah, 9 minutes. And then, we were kind of going, what's going on with this? I went back and watched, and, we all did today, the Anaheim goal where Domi is actually his guy, and he flies the zone looking for an offensive chance. His guy goes back in a 2-on-1, sets up Vetrano, and they score. He doesn't play a lot after that. I think he played 3 and change after that. Again, it seems like a push for accountability. But again, and this is what my article was on, it's one of the Team B guys.
See, I don't know if Camp is.
I love
No, Domi.
Domi. I don't think Camp is part of Team B, though.
And
he's here for 4 years.
Well, and that's what I said.
Who's that?
Camp. He's not part of Team B.
No, buddy. Listen, there's only 4 guys.
5. Riley's in there.
We'll throw Riley, but there's only 4 forwards on Team A. Okay? Everybody else is Team B.
I think guys that are here for multiple seasons are sort of part of Team A.
They definitely feel more... I know what you mean.
Too.
Yeah.
He's here for multiple seasons.
Still Team B. They're still the, to me, the guys that are here to help the others. Like they're not...
Little from column A and little from column B.
There you go.
I get what you're saying.
So my article was
which I loved, by the way.
Thank you. How do you find accountability for Team A?
And this is my point.
And does it matter?
When Team A hasn't been held to the fire for 4 or 5 years
in their career outside.
Can Sheldon do it now? Or to your point in your article, are they excluded still?
Way harder to establish it once they've already gotten used to being free-range chickens running around the farm. To say now you live in a pen.
With
this is a weird example. Metaphor, whatever.
With your example was the shorthanded goal where Max is blowing the zone a big part of why he only played 9 minutes? Because if we went back in those 4 or 5 years, I think I can find you a few examples where Willie Nylander blew the
that
zone.
Very game, I could give you examples.
But
all day long.
He used to get benched. He used to be the only guy that
he
Keith
did used
would.
to. Yeah, he was eligible to be benched.
But now he's just too good.
But I think that these sort of discipline things are still in connection with what their expectations are. Like Willie's allowed to do certain things that other people aren't because his chances of finishing any chance are so much higher
forever
than anyone else.
But forever.
But for all teams, yes.
Forever.
Historically, your best guys get a little more.
Not with Rick Tocchet, and Lindy and in Jersey with Timo Meyer, and there were some big names being Huberto missed periods.
Yeah.
We've never seen that with the big boys here.
We haven't. You're right.
We've
and
seen
so
a shift.
This is where the point is.
Shifts.
One shift, one time, and it was a mess.
Could be masked with someone going to the bathroom.
But if you
we talked about that for a week. Imagine what would happen if it was a period.
That's probably why they don't do it.
100%.
But if you go sort the NHL.com stat category for giveaways, the top guys, historically, it's like Pavel Datsyuk, like the best players in the league turn the puck over the most, and they don't get benched for giveaways. David Kampf turns it over once, and he gets benched because it's like, you don't get to try that. You don't get to try to make that play. These guys do a little bit. So it is different. There has to be some sort of difference.
Listen, we know that.
Yes.
We know that.
But so the article is like, can we, I don't know, could a guy play on the third line for the third period once if he's sucking for the night?
Listen, if you're gonna go in, go all in. Go big or go
I don't
home.
agree with that.
If you really want to send a message, then no, not the third line. You sit the rest of the period.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't dress the next game.
Right.
That's just
Berube was great on that yesterday, too. He was
He
like,
said the same
he
thing.
said, don't scratch the guy.
You don't need to scratch and embarrass your best players, but there's some nights where it's like, you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have it, and that's okay, but just sit here and watch the rest of the game.
I got a text here, and I don't need to read the full text. It's from Tim in Hamilton. He kind of reminded me. I wouldn't say it's the first time we heard accountability, because earlier this year, before the Boston Bruins game, Sheldon did directly call out Austin Matthews. Not like hard, but said that we need more from him, and said like he did a whole thing. And since then, Austin Matthews has been legitimately one of the best players on the planet. So like I think there have been other examples in this year where he's had a little bit of accountability, but I think this is the first time where we've actually seen the word pop up. Now, like he deserves credit, Keefe, for calling him out and having him turn into otherworldly Matthews right after that. Like he hasn't taken his foot off the gas since then.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up. It was a text we got from Tim.
But that is the tough part about how do you manage, getting through to these guys that we need more, because I think it has felt at times like it doesn't matter what they do. At the end of the game, you're down one, and Keefe looks at his bench and goes, Matthews is at 70% of his best tonight. That's still better than this guy can give me. Matthews, go. Where sometimes you just have to say, yeah, he's the best goal scorer in the world, but, this guy's playing unbelievable. Matthews hasn't been good tonight. Let's give someone else a chance who's excited, motivated for that opportunity. Yeah. I know it's worked out fine in terms of 2 points, but it's setting a bad precedent for the team and expectations going into games. So you have to fight for points at the end of those games.
Yeah. You also kind of...
go
ahead.
Will be interesting to watch now if this is a Team B change and it's Kempf and it's Domi and it's going to be Yarncroc and whoever, or if the Stars at some point.
Yeah. Who on occasion have turned the puck over.
It's happened once or twice. Looking back through the tape on the season, yes.
All right, Nick Robertson, you mentioned him earlier. Will be a healthy scratch again tomorrow night on Hockey Night in Canada. I think from at least my perspective, he's done a good job in terms of coming up. No, the numbers don't support it, but he, in my opinion, has turned himself into somewhat of an asset again for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Even though he will miss his second consecutive game. I do. I think I think
22 still.
He is a guy that a few teams could use. I'm not saying contending teams, because now we're into the conversation of where would he fit on a contending team, and we have a Toronto Maple Leafs scenario here where he can't get into the top six. Power plays are an absolute minimal, and is in a position to score goals. But there's got to be some teams right now that aren't competing that he can find a way to get into the lineup and see more power play time and possibly contribute 15 or 20 goals over the course of an entire season. I think that's possible.
Yeah, like a team like Columbus or Chicago, or a team that's sort of rebuilding and looking for a little help. I could see him being an asset. So you got to look at those teams if you're the Leafs, and you're like, could we get an older guy who's ready today? Is Boone Jenner want to get traded at some point? I don't know.
That's where I think it is for the Toronto Maple Leafs is, and I don't know on his own what he could fetch, but I want this guy back, and I'm going to give you this plus this. And
he's a plus asset.
He's a plus.
Yeah, which is nice.
Really?
Yeah, not for you.
I don't know. I guess maybe it's just on this team. It's the fit. Like you guys are mentioning, maybe a worse team. He gets more ice time. I just don't see it.
I don't know. You about 2 weeks ago, you told me you think he can score.
Yeah, and I think he can play. Like, I think he's fast. I thought he didn't have a quick enough first step for a while. I thought, he was getting run over constantly in his first year or two. He doesn't get blown up nearly as much, maybe once or twice all season. He seems to be able to gain some separation with the puck. I like his skill set, and this is just not the team for him where he's going to get the opportunities he needs to get better.
Yeah. And we've seen McMahon and Holmberg step in that third / line.
Yeah, the Leafs score. Guys like that Go finish checks
Listen,
and forecheck and defend.
They look better with Nick off Max Domi's line. They look bigger. They look heavier to me. The hit on the McMahon.
Mintyukov. McMahon on Mintyukov.
Mintyukov. Like, you're never getting that out of Nick Robertson.
No.
So that's more playoff type of hockey.
And I can hear people going, the Leafs only scored 2 goals a game for 7 straight games or whatever. And all I can see is Nick Robertson like turning one over or something and it ending up in your own net rather than creating one the other way.
He does,
know he can shoot it.
He does turn the puck over.
Yeah.
I don't want, because he seems like a guy that cares a lot.
He
I don't want to
loves hockey.
And I don't want to kill him, but it just, I haven't seen,
He ain't for you.
He isn't. And like, he's had moments where he's come up and it's been this hot start and he's shot it in the net and it's been exciting and like, oh, maybe this is the time it's going to stick. And then it always just goes away.
Well, I always think of players where I'm
just
like,
fades away, where you stop noticing him.
and I'm like, every time I think of him, I'm like, what line, where does he work? And it's like, well, not quite there, not quite there, not quite there, not quite there. And it's tough to find a spot. And there are guys who fit everywhere. You know, Tyler Bertuzzi, what line could you put him on? Whichever one you want. You know, he's a multifaceted guy, and Robertson's not that. So,
all right. Earlier in the week, we talked about the Willie Nylander contract. I think getting to a point where it's getting a lot closer. At no point, at least from my perspective, that anything's imminent or been agreed to in terms of a total package on a contract. But yet, Elliot Friedman yesterday in his 32 Thoughts had a different perspective on it, which included Willie Nylander's dad, Michael.
Yeah.
as a, Elliot didn't really say anything in that piece aside from he is a factor here.
Yes.
And I think the implied factor is
It's a
that,
hindrance.
well, I think the implied factor is that Michael's a hard negotiator when he played.
Yes.
And Elliot mentioned that Willie is a loyal son.
Yes.
And that perhaps the hard negotiating is, yes.
1 + 2 hindrance.
You got it. You got
Yes.
it. Yeah. He'd like him to make more money.
Yeah.
I'm just adding up the abacus.
No, for sure. And, well, first of all, Michael's an agent, right? Working with his agent, Louis Gross.
Right.
So let's make that abundantly clear here. He's in a position where it's just not the normal dad. He is
A player agent.
a player agent representing his son. So, of course, he's going to be a factor in it. I think sometimes that part of it gets overplayed for me, at least from my perspective.
Yeah.
That the news flash is with this new generation, everybody's dad's involved. Everybody's got a say here, more so that at any point, and not, this is not 25 years ago with my dad going, just still thinking I'm the richest man in the world because, I'm in the NHL getting minimum wage, right? This is a different world with dads and parents involved.
Well,
and it's just, and the Hughes brothers also have their dad involved with CAA.
So that's not just a way to funnel money to your family rather than give it someone else. These guys are actually involved.
I can't answer that question. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're real. Maybe they go to rinks. Maybe they talk to other kids. They're assets for the agent.
For sure.
There's no way, like Michael Nylander, even in his position, is not leading this charge. Louis Gross is the main agent. He's the guy that's running this. And
Michael's input is as a player agent, like for Willie, like he's got some business investment here.
Michael as an agent?
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I thought it was just Louis Gross.
No.
Okay.
No, this is Michael.
Okay.
Too. But Louis Gross is leading this charge here. And this is still the kid's call when it's all said and done. And dad can just say, and Elliot made the point that he's loyal to his dad, which, okay, can you give me a father-son NHL hockey dad that you aren't loyal to? So this is about Willie getting a number ultimately that he says I'm good with.
You know, whatever that involvement is, though, like Willie is a 28-year-old man, 27-year-old man, and they're offering him $11.25 million. If Daddy thinks he should get another $500,000, he can't say to his dad, like, "Hey, I'm good. You know what? I appreciate your input. Thanks. I'm pretty content with this. It's a lot. Or I'm going to go ahead with this."
Or Willie can say, "This is my number and hit it. And if you don't hit it, I'm leaving."
Sure.
I'm with you, Dad.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
We are on the same page.
Why
with this
do
number.
I have to leave $250,000 or $500,000 less?
Yeah.
Why can't they just pay me what we think we're worth?
Yeah.
And
even in the ballpark of.
You don't know exactly the dynamic of, does Willie need to be persuaded by his dad? To your point, Sammy, he's 27 years old. He's been around the block now. He's had experience. He's not wet behind the ears. This is just the three of them now working together, and here's my number. Hit it.
I mean, you guys are both parents. I'd say if either of your children are going to sign $90 million contracts, you'd probably be a little bit involved.
See, but I don't think I'd be involved saying, "Get 93.
Yeah.
I don't think I would.
Yeah, but you're not Michael Nylander,
No,
I guess. But
you
know what I mean? Like, I
I'd be
understand
involved and listening. And
I understand that he's involved.
Yeah.
But I really do hope, like,
but
11.25, it's like, that's a pretty good contract.
JB,
this is worse for them than the extra money.
It does make you, like, not business savvy.
For sure.
It makes you,
Great.
like, I don't want you representing me on my next contract.
Terrible at it.
Horrible.
Yes.
You're fired.
Not my career. You're right. You're 100% right.
So,
But is this not worse for them? What we're doing right here? Is this not worse? Like, than saying, we didn't max out every nickel. Instead, people have to know, the inner workings of the relationship. Give Austin Matthews credit. Whatever you think about, he could have got this or he should have signed for this, whatever. 2 contracts with the Leafs. Just signed them and it was over. Like we haven't had to do.
yeah,
I don't know anything about it.
And the Leafs hit his number too.
Sure.
And he, not only did they hit his number, he got to dictate the term. He got to say,
Yeah, but it's
5 years and 4
It's a different
years.
story between Matthews and Nylander.
Well, what's the difference?
But like,
Is that Matthews is much better at hockey.
I have no opinions on Poppy's dad, on Papa Poppy.
Yeah. Other than the fact that
he likes to have a cocktail and watch his son. Like,
likes to shoot guns.
That's all I know. And that's great. That's great. Part of kids getting to the NHL now is your parents have to be really invested, right? Like they have to, from the beginning, have you in camps and taking you here and whatever. So parents are
they're agents already.
Yeah,
they're
your
agents.
parents are super
when they
involved
were
more than ever. I get
the
it.
first time you laced up skates, they were your agent.
Yeah, I get that. I do. But it's really gotten to the point where, like, okay, some point they're grown-ups here.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come
Good combo,
back,
boys.
we'll get Doug MacLean,
Oh, yeah, great.
former general manager, president, author, does it all. And he does it all for us on Fridays
Patterson
on
of
Off
Canada.
the Rails. Doug MacLean after the break. As promised, for the break, my favorite part of the week. I got to be honest with you, because I can just sit and relax and he can go on forever.
It's a great
And
part
I
of
don't
the
even
week.
care what he says. I just get a break. Let's welcome him in off of the last 2 rounds. Can you believe, like, one of the best-selling authors in the history of books
I know.
found time to golf and break 80, I think, twice in the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
Wow, we have George R.R. Martin.
Let's welcome him in, Doug MacLean. Oh, no.
Guys.
No, I for those of you that aren't watching the show on many platforms on Sportsnet, he's lined up 3 books in the background. One of them, of course, is Draft Day. But what are those other 2 books? What are they?
It's called The Golf Book, and the other is The Golfer's Excuse Handbook. And I'm going to discard the Golfer's Excuse Handbook after the show because I don't need it anymore. So listen, I've got some great stats.
All right.
There's 1 in 11 million chances you could be in a plane crash in your life. 1 in 11 million. 1 in 11 trillion chances that you will break 80 at golf
No way.
in your lifetime. And I broke it twice this week. So what's that tell you? I don't need the excuse. The golf book is one of the greatest publications, and I've been studying it, to be quite honest, because I had to work on my putting.
Can we just set the record straight?
No way.
It's 1 in 11 trillion
11?
that you would break 80.
No, that the average golfer would. So, but here's the other problem. I was just notified that in the year 2023, draft day is the biggest selling sports book in Canada. And we were only out for 3 months of 23. So that's pretty exciting. I'm not going to push the book anymore because it's selling like crazy. I was just told Indigo ran out, Barnes and Noble. So I'm not going to push it anymore. But I want to go back to talking PEI real estate here in the next few shows. So anyway, other than that, let's talk hockey.
You know, I was going to start with the topic of accountability, but we don't hold you accountable. How are we going to have a conversation on
I need
it?
you to sit down for a week, Doug.
Right? Because
God,
Sheldon's on this big kick on accountability this past week, Mac. And, you know, how as Justin wrote in sportsnet.ca, how easy is that when you're going through your entire lineup?
Accountability. My first year in the NHL was 1987, and I remember Ron Caron, the general manager of the St. Louis Blues, talking to Jacques Martin and I about accountability. We got to make them accountable. Every time somebody gets fired, the new guys got to make them accountable. And then when he gets fired, he wasn't making them accountable. But now everybody's accountable. Oh, like, I'm serious. Like, enough already. Just talk to your players. Tell them the way it's got to be. Forget the BS about accountability. Okay, let's just deal with facts. Yeah, be tough on them, be fair with them, be hard on them, give them the right way to play, teach them the right way to play, but cut out all the BS on accountability. Seriously, I'm sick of the word.
All right, but if you need to send a message and sometimes it doesn't get through and you still got some of your better players cheating or breaking out of the zone before the puck comes out, you've always got that ability to bench them, do you not? I mean, how many stars have you benched over your career, and how easy was it or hard?
Well, you know, we've talked about benching players before, and I'm all for. I'll never forget Steve Yzerman in Detroit, and I've told you this story many times. If he missed one power play, if he doesn't go out on the first shift of the power play, or he misses one power play because you decide you're not going to play, that's like him sitting out a game. The stars don't have to be benched. They have to have a little bit of ice taken away from them when it's critical in a game, when it's a power play, when it's a key time of the game. If you're pissed off at them, take a little bit of ice time away from them. They get the same message as X player gets when he's told he's benched. So I'm not going for it. I don't buy it. But let me tell you about accountability. Why the Leafs better be accountable. And why they better play the right way, which I guess is another word for accountability, is they're going to play, in all likelihood, the Florida Panthers in the first round of the playoffs. We're at the 40-game mark. Them in Florida are 2-3. I'm not sure it's going to change, guys. And if they play the Florida Panthers in the first round of the playoffs, accountability, are you kidding me? I hate to use this word because Sportsnet may bar me from going on here, but it's going to be a war on the ice. I know you got to be, it has to be safe. I get all that. but this is not going to be safe to play out there. Okay, so tell Jamal
I'm looking
Myers,
forward to it
tell
already.
him I say it's not going to be safe in this situation when they play the Florida Panthers, who, by the way, are playing great hockey right now. And it seems to be accountability. Does that come from Maurice, or is that coming from the veterans on the team? Where does accountability really come from? Let's talk about the players making. Let's talk about Ottawa. You want to talk about accountability? Anyway? You're the guy. You're the host. You have to bring up the topics. I'm jumping the gun.
No. So
I wanted to get the golf in because I think it was really important.
Very.
And I thought my game plateaued, but it's a great message to send to players. It doesn't matter what age you can really perfect your game.
So then, my thoughts are just like, I would say the most important trait from a coach is authenticity, that they are who they are. Tortorella is who he is, and so is Rick Tocchet and Craig Berube. You know what you're getting from these guys. Sheldon Keefe for 4 years has coached a certain way. Can you then say, now we're the accountability club, and change the way you have run operations and have the guys buy in?
You are what you are, and I'll tell you the one thing players know. They know when the coach isn't being real. Yeah. They chuckle. Like, Kippy, you talk about what it was like in the dressing room. Like you with the scarf wrapped around your neck mocking Mike Keenan.
Yes, this is true.
Listen, the
well,
players,
Mike was present or no?
Right behind me.
He caught him. But that's what happens. The players know what the coach is really like. So you're right, yeah, you're right, Bourne.
JB.
JB, you're right, JB. You're right on that, 100%. And you can't. There's no changing. They know what DJ was in Ottawa. They know already what Jock is in Ottawa, and they know what Sheldon is. And Talk has been the same. Talk hasn't changed since he was a player. So I don't fake it, because if you're a fake, they read it so fast it's scary, and then they have a great time when they go out for a beer after, because they're all making fun of you.
Mac, as you know, you come to our show to get entertained. Every once in a while, there's a little bit of information. Earlier this week, we talked about.
I can't get your show down.
Well, that's all right. I'll tell you all about it. Willie Nylander. We talked midweek about 8-year deal north of $11 million.
You know what? I got to tell you, I did see that, and I watched and listened to it when you broke the story, and I was really proud of you, because you, as an insider, you've sort of slipped in recent years. You're like
retired.
I'm retired.
You're like some of the players that when their play slippage, there's slippage. You slipped on the insider stuff, and I was really blown away with that. You came across strong.
Thank you.
Articulate.
All right.
But what bothers me is everybody in hockey, the LeBruns and the Johnsons and
okay.
all
right.
these
all our friends, Mac. All our friends.
They forgot your name when they're writing about them. The only guy that gave you any credit was Howard Berger. So you know what?
Mac.
I mean, you broke the biggest story of the hockey
Mac,
year so far.
Stop it.
The biggest story of the hockey year. You broke it.
We're all in this together. So, hey.
No, we're not.
So tell me something.
Don't ever tell me
that. This summer, if I told you that Willie Nylander was going to sign minimal 88, 90, maybe more for 8 years, you would have said that's the craziest thing you ever heard of, right? Not so much now.
I definitely would have said it's the craziest thing that I would have ever heard. Yeah, for sure. The guy has, and I've talked about it for 5 years, that he's the one piece they can trade for the defenseman they're going to need to play against Florida. A real defenseman, if they can even get the right guy for him. And but he has been so damn good. It's been unbelievable. He's been so dynamic off the rush. He's so dynamic at making big plays at big times in the game. He's been that good, guys, by far. Well, Matthews has been real good, too. Matthews has been just terrific to watch, too. And I love even Morgan Riley. I love what he's brought to the table. But look, it comes back to the same thing. Give them the $11 million. They've got no choice. Treliving is no choice but to pay him, because they've got to keep him. The problem is, how do you build the winner? How do you build a winner when you got to go against a deep team like Florida now, or you've got to move on in the playoffs if they beat them? It's really tough, boys, to build a team, especially with the back end, the way their back end is. and with their goaltending as a youngster in goal. Wall, who's been terrific. I love him. I love what he's brought to the table, but he's a kid going against Bobrovsky in the playoffs, in all likelihood. That's a little nerve-wracking. So give them the $11 million. They got no choice. Tavares leaves eventually, but how do you build a winner? I can't figure it out.
Well, even looking at the rest of this year in terms of what they would need to add, are they better off trying to add some of what Florida has, some of that grit, or do you want to go the other way and not play Florida's game and try to, they didn't score enough in playoffs last year? What are you looking for the Leafs to do here in the months ahead?
Well, we keep hearing Tanef's name. I mean, is that going to happen? I mean, that type of guy would be a plus. What is Tanef now? A number 3-4 guy? I mean, does that help them? The price is going to be exorbitant for that. I'd rather have a guy that's a better skater maybe than Tanef. I mean, I know Hannafin's there too. I really think they desperately have to add a couple of blue liners and not average, below average guys. They've got to be better there. And I don't know. You say they're better off not to play Florida's game. Do you think for a minute that Florida's not going to drag them into that game? Do you not think whoever plays the Leafs in the first round is going to do everything in their power to drag them into that street fight? Sorry, Jen. They're going to drag them into a street fight. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Mac,
and that's the way they got to coach against them.
I think it's safe to say that we were all impressed with that total 60-minute game in California, in LA versus the Kings. If they can master that type of style of play throughout their roster, does that in itself help them against a team like Florida?
Yeah, that was a great game by the Leafs. Was that maybe one of the best 60-minute efforts you've seen from that hockey team in a long time, where they did everything playoff style. And what, you're going in against LA, who have been really good at times, not as good lately, but really a good, solid team, really strong down the middle with their star power there and their checking ability. I thought it was really impressive. And even the Anaheim game, I mean, they dominated. So two really good performances, on the West Coast. And I mean, that's unfortunately, that's the way they've got to play. And it's uncomfortable to play like that, guys. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Kip, I don't know if you want to keep it on the Leafs. Do you mind if I take it somewhere else here?
Buddy.
Mac, I got to get your thoughts on Ryan Hartman and Cole Perfetti and what happened there. It obviously became a hot button issue up here in Canada. Are you in Canada? Probably not, right? You're in Florida? Big deal in Canada right now, that play.
Just a minute. No, I see the ocean and there's no ice on it.
It's in PEI, isn't it?
You know what? I don't like when you've got a targeted situation. I don't like that. I don't know if that really happened or what it happens, but I know this is the National Hockey League, and I'll never forget Chuck Fletcher coming down. He was assistant GM in Florida when I was coaching, and he come down after the game. And he said, "We just lost 2-1 to New Jersey, Jacques Demers, New Jersey Devils. We lost 2-1 in a hard-fought battle, vicious game." And I forget Chuck coming into the coaches room and saying to Lindy and I and Dwayne Sutter, wasn't any emotion or any intensity out there tonight. And I looked at him and was like, I wanted to punch him in the head. I thought, are you kidding me? It was a war down there. It was a war. It was vicious. It was a hard-fought game. When you're on the bench and you're in the fight, it's a lot different than being in the press box or watching on TV. It's a tough, tough game out there, and things happen. Things happen. And yeah, lots of things you're not happy about, but things happen in the heat of the battle, especially as you move into the second part of the season and then the playoffs, it goes to another level. Guys are playing for their careers. People forget making the NHL is really, really unbelievably tough. Mm-hmm. And I admire anybody that makes the NHL. But staying in the NHL is even tougher, boys. So it's even tougher. And you got to do what it takes to stay there.
Just to follow up your last comments about how things happen, and usually it was a mystery sometimes to the viewer that they didn't know the reasons why. But now we mic guys up or we have cameras following them, and they know, and they don't like it. And as a general manager or president, I mean, where are you on miking the guys up so they know exactly what's said or done or the reasons why? Is that selling our game or is it hurting our game?
I'll never forget. I was sitting there. I'm not sure if it was a GM's meeting or a board of governors meeting, and Gary Bettman was trying to sell us on getting the players more involved with the media, like miking them up and interviews on the bench. And he was showing us clips of the F1, the race car drivers that are driving at 300 miles an hour and they're talking while they're driving. He said, Gary said, if they can do it, we can do it, can't we? And I'm thinking, oh my God, what do we got going on here? Like, seriously. I mean, I give up.
We're pretty much there now, aren't we?
Oh no, we're race car drivers, and we've got a touch of Barbie and Ken with us as well. You know, it's like crazy. Anyway.
All right. One last thought. I got to get your thoughts on Ottawa because there was so much. New owner, a billionaire owner is going to come in. He's going to change everything. Jacques Martin's in there. He's going to change everything. No, everything kind of looks the same here in Ottawa.
Yeah, everything. It's sad. It's really difficult, hard to watch. And I really had them. And we had talked about a team taking a big step, and I really believe they would. And you know, Nick, we spent a lot of time talking about Ottawa this summer. And you know what? I look at them and I'm looking, okay, Stützle, not anywhere close to where he was, guys. This guy looked to me like he's going to be a superstar. You got Tkachuk, not paying any attention in his own end, like playing a loose game. And, you know, I look at Norris, supposed to be a star, not playing anywhere close to where he's supposed to play. And I know Pinto was a loss and they're down the middle. Shabbat has not been very good. Chychrun has not been very good. Their goaltending has been abysmal. There's something awry here. Is there no trust in the room? And now all of a sudden, here's where it really starts to break down. When you start reading in the paper that we're going to go after the core of this team. We have to change the core of this team. What do you think that happens to the players in the dressing room when that starts to be the number one discussion point? And they're going to have to change the core, by the way. There's going to have to be some changes.
Wow.
Anyone off the top that you would think would be expendable?
Well, Shabbat to me is a guy that you've got to move for me. He hasn't played a playoff game in 7-8 years. He's played in the NHL.
Hold on.
Money wise, he's got to be a guy.
Keep Chychrun, re-sign Chychrun, get rid of Shabbat. Is your suggestion?
I may consider moving both of them.
Ooh.
I like Chychrun as a kid. I like him, but he just hasn't played very well there, guys. He has not played very well. And their goaltending is a major issue. Every goaltender that leaves Ottawa becomes a good goalie in the league or a pretty good goalie in the league. But when you're in Ottawa, they're shooting balloons through you. I mean, they've been terrible. They've been terrible. I'm sorry. So there's a lot of work to do there. And you know what? I hope I happen to like Steve Stais. I like Davey Poulin, and I love Jock. But something's got to give here, boys. It's not pretty.
All right. Well, we'll let you go. Shoot another.
God, I'm glad you didn't get the team. I don't have to worry about it.
And leave all of this? Are you kidding me, Mac? I would never do that. Hey, thanks for doing this. Congrats on your 79, 80. All right, pal. Off the rails with Doug MacLean.
Thanks, Mac.
All right.
Thanks.
Great finish to the first hour, and we're going to come back. Head coach of the Edmonton Oilers live.
He was this close to giving us the "you want me on that wall, you need me on that wall" speech during that
More
clip.
Real Kyper and Bourne after the break. Welcome into the national edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In the next few minutes, we're going to welcome in the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Kris Knoblauch. What a run he's been on. 16-6 since taking over the Edmonton Oilers. They're off.
He's turned
tonight.
that McDavid into quite the player.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. What a coaching.
What a
Just
job
an
that's
average player before that.
Really coming on strong now.
So they're set to take on the Ottawa Senators tomorrow night. So we'll get Chris's thoughts on that and so much more.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, we just finished up in our first hour with Doug MacLean talking about the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
That's a tough one for the Senators tomorrow night.
And a tough one last night.
Yeah,
Losing to Seattle.
They're in a tough spot here, man. Like, they're not at the 40 game mark. They might not be at the 35 game mark, given, they had a slow schedule to start. And they've gone through a GM, 2 head coaches, rumors about, could there be a third by, is it Berube or someone like that? It's just been a really rocky start to a year that came with high expectations.
Almost 50 games still to go in their season. And do you approach it now as if we are missing the playoffs?
Well,
and do you want to now start your assessment for next season? Or are you thinking, 49 games to go here? We got to make a change here to show our fan base or the rest of the league that we're not going away the rest of the season.
Yeah, the St. Louis Blues team that was in last place Jan 1 that went on to win the Stanley Cup. Like Ottawa, had a lot of talent. You need a goaltender to get hot. You need a lot of things to break right, but they've just played so many fewer games than the other teams in their conference. Could a little run of success give them hope of a playoff push? Right now they're 15 points out of a playoff spot, but they've played 6 fewer games than that team there. So I don't know, Kip. To me, you can't roll over on the season in game 34. It's just they have too much talent to roll over.
Doug MacLean mentioned the abundance of talent on the blue line. Shabbat, that he would probably move a big name.
Yeah.
He mentioned Shabbat. I mean, I like Shabbat. I just don't know if he's ever going to be able to live up to $8 million a year.
When he plays and he's healthy, he plays 27 minutes. He plays a ton for them. But, when you have a Chikrin and you have a Sanderson, when you have some guys back there that are pretty good defenders, it's not, could he strengthen them somewhere else? I don't know.
Do you think it's a movable contract right now?
Yes. Oh God, if I was a
Shabbat's
GM, Lee, I would trade
$8 million.
I would trade for GM or for Shabbat.
Yeah,
yes, as a GM.
I'd like him to play a lot better, I think, and produce a lot more. But
I just think, how many years is left on that deal? Maybe 5 years left or something. Because it was an 8-year deal initially.
Yeah, I think it's maybe even 7.
Yeah,
it was 8 times 8, was it not?
Yeah, and just looking at the where he's at in his age, he's still a young defenseman. He's still loaded with talent. In the direction the salary cap is going, I don't know that. Yeah, it's through 29. No, that's not right. But anyway, I just don't think that this is a guy that isn't going to be good for you and couldn't look good against the salary cap at that number later in the future. So I'm Team Shabbat here, but I understand if you feel like you have to make a change to the core, maybe that's a place you start. I don't know. You get Pinto coming back here. Stutzla can be better. Kachuk's very good. Norris is good. Giroux, decisions to be made there.
There is some talk now that they're going to maybe focus on changing up a little bit of the core, and I don't know what that means, and it's hard where they sit right now to actually identify who that core is. Like, go to a number of teams and we can rally or spew off 4 names and go, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they are today. Like, you would have thought Tim Stützle would have been as much of an untouchable as anybody in the league.
I still
and
think he is.
still,
He still
is.
Yeah.
Still is, but he's not faring well here. None of them are.
Stützle has
Norris,
a
Batherson,
point per game this year. 7
Kachuk.
goals and
We know
34.
Kachuk's not going anywhere, but he's struggling too.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you move here?
I don't think you do some sort of panic thing where you finally have good pieces and you trade them out because you need to do something different here. Like, they need to add to this group and give them a chance. They're still very young. The core guys you're talking about, Stützle's 21.
But they
Chuck's 24. Norris is 24.
Giroux and Tarasenko and Kubalik.
So trade those guys.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
They will come towards the trade deadline, no question. All right, let's welcome in head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Kris Knoblauch. Kris, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. I imagine since you taking over, November 12th with a 16-6, there's a lot of people in Edmonton breathing a little better these days.
Yeah, no, things have been going really well, especially lately. Winning their last 6 games. For me, I've been ecstatic being a part of this. Obviously, a chance to become a head coach, but head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. It's been really exciting.
And I guess I want to ask specifically about it being the Oilers. You didn't get handed some, roster with guys, up and coming guys. It was, here's the best player to ever have played hockey, and some fellow wonderful players. How has it been for you adjusting to using talent like that? Something that few coaches on earth ever get to experience.
No, I know I'm very fortunate. Coach Connor McDavid, to do it once is remarkable, let alone twice.
Yeah.
Getting him in junior hockey and in the NHL. Yeah, it's a asset that most coaches don't get to have at their disposal, and now I'm getting to try and optimize that as much as possible. And you can see how he can turn around a game very quickly. And you saw it the other night against Philadelphia with 5 points and only about 16 and a half minutes. It's a pleasure to have as a coach.
Okay, I want to go right there in terms of a star player, the best player on the planet, playing 16 and a half minutes. This guy's got a Ferrari engine. I mean, 16 and a half minutes must feel like a cup of coffee for him. Is it hard? Is it strategic? How does a guy like that end up with 16 and a half minutes?
Well, I know that's been a season low for him this year. Certainly since I've been here. Just the other night when we were in LA, I think he had 24 minutes. We don't want to run him up 24 minutes every night. If anyone can handle it, definitely can be him. But we're getting contributions from everybody in our team. Obviously, he's our best player in the league, and we're just trying to utilize him as best as possible. And sometimes the games, the flow and matchups, where whatever's happening, you kind of have to just sometimes things just work out the way they do.
Just to follow up, Kris, I mean, as a coach, big picture stuff, I know the team's not in a position to think comfortably about the playoffs based on the start, but as a head coach, is it an afterthought to think what's going to be left of my core guys here and trying to balance it out over 82 games?
Absolutely, it's something to consider, but also considering just week to week. The next night you play. Certainly if you're playing back to back. Right now, our schedule in January is pretty comfortable. Just with we don't have no back to backs. Our travel isn't too hectic, but as we get into the grind, I know with our schedule later in the season, that's something we have to consider a lot about. Just it's a lot more of, yes, you want to manage these guys' ice times, not wearing them out, but also having other guys feeling part of the team. And, if a line's playing well, you kind of give those guys a little more ice time. And right now, the McDavid line's been maybe the best line in the NHL right now. And with Nugent Hopkins and Zach Hyman. And we've been getting a lot out of those guys.
Chris, beyond McDavid, you do have guys you just mentioned, Nuge and Hyman and, Draisaitl and Kane. You have this sort of elite group of guys, and that's kind of the salary cap era. A lot of teams are built in that sort of top-heavy way. Where do you stand sort of philosophically on the idea of different rules for different players? We've been talking about accountability on our show and just trying to get a sense for your theory. Is it sort of everyone with the same playbook, or do you kind of have to handle the different layers and levels of player differently within your team?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to handle players differently, but you also have to treat them all fairly. And how you balance that is very difficult as a coach. And there isn't just a handbook to say, this is what I'm going to do in this situation. Certain players are, you don't want to see turnovers at the blue line just because of what are they going to create? Obviously, we've been talking about McDavid a lot. Obviously there's going to be mistakes and there's going to be turnovers, but you see the upside of the plays that he can make, opposed to maybe somebody who's not playing the same kind of minutes, who's on the fourth line. Even if he does beat that defenseman at the blue line, what's he going to do with the next play? And, just trying to get our players to understand that, to encourage them to play to their strengths. It's always, it's never easy. It's otherwise, everyone can be doing this job. But, I think as a coach, you're just trying to get the best out of every player and getting them to play to their strengths.
We're talking to Kris Knoblauch, head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, who are now on a 16-6 run since taking over the hockey club. And when you did take over, Kris, I think it was 3 wins in 13 for the Edmonton Oilers to start. So where was the top priority when you took over? Was it just the mental psyche here of maybe a shock team or a shock city to reset mentally? Or was it technical, right away seeing something that you wanted different throughout your lineup in terms of strategy or systems? Where did it really truly begin?
I think there's three areas that we wanted to address. One was the psyche. There was obviously a lot of frustration, and anytime players frustrated, you're not going to get the most out of them. Whether it's an elite athlete, the best players, or your fourth liners, they got to feel comfortable, confident to play their best ability. I think we had to take away some of the pressure off them and kind of just have them just think about playing hockey and focus on the next game opposed to the Stanley Cup or making the playoffs or where they were in the standings. I think that was the priority. Another one was the penalty kill, trying to shore that up and kind of finding a rhythm there. And we, Stewie took over the penalty kill, has been doing an outstanding job with that, but also we using different players in different roles kind of to settle that down. Penalty kill has been pretty good the last couple months. And then the other one was just it's usually team defense. How, anytime there's a coach change, it's usually you're giving up too many goals. And whether there's many factors for that, whether it's goaltending or defensive systems or just accountability. I found that a lot of the goals against were coming off the rush, and we kind of discussed what we could do about that, and a little bit of system, but a little bit of buy-in, having players do their job. And, I think we've done a better job of that lately.
I think it's a unique situation when you come into a dressing room where a core of the team has been there for some years and you bring new ideas that probably haven't been there. How easy or how receptive has the team been to your ideas, and what does that relationship look like when you go to guys who've done it a certain way and have a certain culture and say, actually, I'd like to change this?
It's very difficult. Just when you're going to introduce those new systems, and we talked about trying to settle the players down and have them playing to their strengths. And if you're giving them a bunch of new ideas and new systems, then they're not going to be able to just go out and play hockey and relax. And when I first got here, there's very minimal changes that I implemented. First of all, I wanted to find out what is their system, what is their vocabulary, what are they doing, and how can we improve it. And the first couple of weeks, we really didn't do very much. We had a goal and we wanted to settle them down and wanting them to ultimately just play hockey. After about 2 weeks, we had a nice little break where we had 5 days off. So there was a couple days off, but we had 3, I feel, quality practices. And then we started to implement some little bit of changes. But as a new coach coming in, there's only so much you can do because the game comes down to just being able to execute. Yes, it has a little bit to do with systems and, there's those advantages that you can have, but the biggest advantages you can have is just your players feeling confident and going out there and just playing hockey.
Kris, when I heard that Paul Coffey was going to go behind the bench full time, I told him he's nuts. Like, are you crazy? You got the cushiest job or the cushiest life in the world right now. What do you want to go into that
Paul Coffey for a living
environment? But yet, this guy's never missed a challenge in his life and not come out on top. How's it been working with him? And, what kind of effect has he had on a guy like Darnell Nurse?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be a challenge. Something, come into the situation and obviously not knowing me very well. And then now we are working side by side every day. And the effect that he's had on especially the defensemen, and I've been so happy with our group of 6, how well they've been playing, all 3 pairs of them. And I think his message has been very simple and very direct for the players on just, hey, we want you getting involved in the play. We want you making plays. Hey, don't worry about if you do make a mistake. It's how we're going to recover from that. And he's got them skating up and down the ice, whether they're getting involved in the play or just being defending. And it's been nice to see. And I think it's just been a nice calming voice on the back end that the defensemen that we have really appreciate his message.
And what is, looking at that decor, I'm fascinated by the pair of Ekholm and Bouchard, who are at different points in their careers and have different priorities, I would say, as players. How are they meshing together? And just tell us about that pair. I'm fascinated by them in general.
They've been, they've got a lot of chemistry before I got here.
Yeah.
And we haven't changed very much. Defensive pairings, we played around with it maybe in my first week or 2, made a little bit of changes, but ultimately we've stuck with what was in place before I got here. With the Ekholm and Bouchard pairing, right now as a pair, they're probably the best pair analytically, just with the scoring chances that they're giving up has been minimal, and the chances they're getting and creating has been huge. And a lot of that has to do with they're on the ice a lot with McDavid's line. So you're out there with the best line in the NHL. Right. You're also going to have good analytics too. But their play is, I don't want to give all the credit to McDavid and Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Those 2 on the back end have a lot to do. They've contributed a lot to their success. And probably the biggest thing is just puck movement, just being able to get the puck into the forwards' hands so they can go and attack and they're not chasing pucks down and having to forecheck, and having controlled entries is a huge advantage.
Just in terms of goaltending, so many question marks around the league right now for even contending teams such as yourselves. I know in Toronto here it's a hot button topic, but just the way Skinner's been able to handle the workload and settle things down since Jack Campbell's got waived. And, Kris, is there a thought process that maybe Jack could work himself back into the mix?
I don't know. I can just comment on the 2 goalies that I've seen this year, and I've been very, very happy with both of them. Skins has looked like a very good quality starting goaltender. He's had the majority of our games. Calvin Pickard has been playing really good. He's got a save percentage of about .905, a winning record. And there's been some games where we haven't been very good defensively, and he's come up very big. So yeah, Jack Campbell's has a future with the organization. Where he fits in, I don't know, but from what I experience right now, and with the 2 goalies that we have, they're playing really well, and they're going to continue to get their starts.
Kris, last one for me. Just you've been there with the team for a while now. You guys are having success. It's been a whirlwind, I'm sure. Have you had a moment to have like a welcome to the NHL moment? Have you looked around and been like, okay, this is I guess just taking stock of where you're at and how successful things have been?
I don't know. I think every time that welcome to the NHL moment is when, especially when we're at home and the players hit the ice and the coaches kind of walk in after that. And, it's nice and quiet in the dressing room because pretty much everyone's cleared out. There's very few people left in there besides a couple coaches and maybe somebody, equipment managers that are helping out cleaning up and stuff like that. But walking out to the tunnel and you see the ice and then it's still quiet, but then you get about 10 or 15 feet from the bench, and then the noise hits you and the excitement, the energy. Then it's like, yes, this is the NHL. This is really exciting, and you're running on adrenaline for the next 2.5 hours.
Excellent stuff, Kris. We really appreciate your time. Good luck against Ottawa and the rest of the way. We really appreciate you coming on our show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Kris. Appreciate it.
Kris Knoblauch, head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, and no question. First of all, he's not the flashiest guy, and I'm just thinking that might be perfect for what they needed at that time. He's never going to be a soundbite guy. He's never going to come in. You're not going to hear the sarcasm we've heard from other coaches.
It's not Paul Maurice.
Not Paul Maurice.
Rick
not
Tocchet.
Tortorella. This guy.
He's going to coach.
He, just like his interview, it's methodical. It's all business. And there's a level of calmness. I don't think he'll ever get excited.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be the perfect thing right now.
Yeah. There's, there are a lot of coaches like that who say, this is the way we're going to play. I'm going to, hold the guys accountable, to use that word again today, for not playing that way.
Don't tell Doug.
That's right. But you're right, Kip. There was a lot in Canada in particular when there's a circus around the team and questions and articles and interviews for these guys. Some, not that Woodcroft was not, good about that sort of stuff either. He was good about it too, but you're right. He doesn't make news, and they need no news.
He could lose 6 in a row or win 6 in a row, and I don't think you would ever tell the difference by his demeanor.
I get your point. Yeah. Yes. No.
They've won 16 of their first 24 games that he's been the coach, and so
can't argue with results.
Yeah,
it's great. All right, we on to game time.
Well, they get to play the Ottawa Senators tomorrow.
By the way, the Oilers schedule coming up: Ottawa last, Blackhawks last, Red Wings not great, Canadians pretty close to last. They've got some winnable hockey games ahead. It will not be long before they're in a playoff spot, and it will not be long before it's where are they in the division. And the only question now is not if they get out of a wild card spot and into those top 3 for me, but just how high up they get.
So what are the Canucks at? Because they're leading that division, right?
Yes, the Canucks are leading the NHL, I think, are they not? No, 2 points out of the NHL lead. Canucks have 51. The Oilers have 39. Canucks have played 3 more games. The Oilers 12 points back with 3 games in hand. I'm not saying I
got to tell you, we made fun of the West for not the top end of the West.
Very good. Very
and
good.
The Oilers are staring down the barrel here. If they do get hot and they get into a playoff spot or they go up into the 3rd spot in the division, potential matchup with Vegas.
Ooh, give me that again. Give me a repeat.
Or in the first round. That's what's so stupid about this.
That's when everyone's the best.
Yeah, but that's the stupidest part about this.
It is stupid.
About this playoff format, and you don't need to get Leaf fans started on this, but it's like you're going to have these divisions where you're getting Vegas in the first round against, or potentially Colorado versus Edmonton in the first round, where it's like 2 of the better teams are playing. I hate
1
this
versus
format.
8, right?
Of course. What was wrong with 1 versus 8? You have enough rivalries. Oh my God! No one hits anyone anyway. There's no rivalries.
Sound like drunk uncle from SNL.
No, it's true though, man. Like,
Not enough rivalry.
we gotta have rivalry. Like, shut up. Just do 1 versus 8. It works the best.
Certainly didn't get the impression that
Sorry.
No,
Jack
Letterbox.
Campbell's coming up anytime soon.
No, he did not say
Well,
that
what-
was imminent.
What are Jack Campbell's AHL numbers? Have we looked at that recently?
No, don't do this.
I'm gonna do it.
Don't do this to me.
I'm gonna do it right now.
So, if the trajectory,
Well, it's not good.
great drop in, Monte. If the
Uh,
trajectory continues for Skinner, you assume that it's his to lose from here on in,
Yeah, well,
which means
it's not Calvin
you're
Pickard's
not-
to win.
you're not trading for Gibson.
You're not?
I don't know. I'm
not good.
asking you.
I don't. I think that they can say all the right things and still not be confident this guy's going to win him a
trading
cup.
for Gibson?
no.
Just need someone. I don't
And
know.
Gibson makes.
I mean, is Gibson really good?
I don't know. Yeah, I think there's a market for Gibson, but I'll tell you what's going to have to happen
Saros is
in
the guy.
Anaheim is that they're going to have to eat
A lot.
almost half.
Yeah.
To get him into a contending team. So what's Gibson at? 6 million?
Yeah.
Something like that.
For
Yeah.
a long time, I feel
So
like.
so Oilers, Leafs, somebody's going to be able to wiggle him in at 3 million.
Leafs?
Don't
No.
know. Are they not one of the teams that are considering a goalie?
John Gibson has not been very good for a long time. Like his not. I guess
He
I
he's
don't know.
bounced back.
I
Wasn't he
think
decent
I
this
think
year?
there's a lot. I think there's interest in him.
Yeah, he's
It's
bounced
just not
back,
at
I
his
think.
price.
well 904, 903, 904, 899, 904.
904.
904.
He's a
That's
good
above league
goalie,
average
guys.
right
league
now.
average. Great.
Hey.
Yeah, for $6 million.
He's no
3 million.
3. We've chopped it in half.
Oh, okay.
50% retention.
Because Skinner's making more than that, right? Just saying.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying. I'm just saying.
And then after Gibson, Jake Allen. Could you see the Oilers taking on Jake Allen and saying more for Skinner 1A?
To me, Skinner is probably better
Jake
or
Allen.
the same as Jake Allen.
Yeah.
Like that's his sideways move. Like the guy is Saros for
Hey,
every team.
But
they should be
it's
trading
just- it's
Saros.
just
They get
not-
everything for him.
we're in the new world of goaltending here. It's not about
Nobody's good.
it's about what happens if that guy gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're at. And can he come in and fill the void, or are we just gonna give it to Pickard?
Can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
This team's too
By
good.
the way, I looked up Jack Campbell's AHL numbers with mild disgust. He's played 11 games. His record is 5-6 and 1 shootout loss with a 3.32 goals against and an 8.93 save percentage at the AHL level.
Well,
Yeah, just move on.
I don't know what league average save percentage is in the AHL. Maybe it's 892. It's probably not 892.
That's
All right.
That's not how they pictured it going.
No.
He's been down there for a
great
while.
guy. I hope he finds his way back.
I really hope he does too, but
I also think shouldn't they just give him another chance? Like I guess it's the salary cap thing. Just makes too much money. Well, I mean, I guess they're only burying 1.15.
1.15. Yeah.
So
You're on
is he
the
not
hook.
better than Pickard?
It could just be a chemistry thing.
Puck just kept
Right?
going in the net.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It drops today. Yeah.
rude,
Okay.
mean ones. Okay.
Chris Knoblauch's pretty happy as it is. We just got that sense. Hey, don't break what ain't broken.
Did
Yeah.
not want to talk about Jack
No,
Campbell.
they're playing tomato cans every night, so not too bad.
Yeah, that helps.
It's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Only a few games tonight. Just quickly pulling up the schedule here.
3.
Three
We
games.
either have we have
100 or 3.
100 or 3.
Yeah, that's the mix that we have. Bedard and the Blackhawks on the second half of a back-to-back going into New Jersey. No value on either side of that, clearly. You're not going to probably bet the Blackhawks in the second half of back-to-back, but you're not probably going to bet the Devils at minus 400.
Minus 400.
Yeah, so you're going to stay away from that. But to me, a Connor Bedard goal is always a fun bet because he's literally the only thing to watch on that team. So
Right.
plus 175 for a Connor Bedard goal.
Okay.
It's going to keep going back to the well last night. I was right on half of my bet yesterday. The Rangers did wax them, but the Connor Bedard did not score. And I'm looking at the Ducks and Winnipeg. I watched the Ducks very closely the other night. They rot. They absolutely rot. I like the Jets minus 190. And if you even want to go minus a goal and a half, was plus 135.
All right, now we're
Okay.
Jets are really good and the Ducks are really bad.
Correct.
Zegras.
Yes.
Was a ghost in that game.
Yeah.
Zegras.
Does he not rub you kind of the wrong way sometimes?
I think you're bringing this up because you guys know how I felt about the audio when he was mic'd up on the bench. And I, first off, actually got the shivers listening to it. Like, ugh. So on the bench, he said a couple of things where one is just like singing along and whatever. But the other one where he's telling the guy in the team, hey, do you see me in the slot there? No, wide open. And the guy was like, all right, just holler at me. He goes, yeah, just take 2 steps out of the corner and get your head up. I'm there wide open. It's like, okay, just, it just really rubbed me the wrong way.
Oh,
you don't like Zegras.
No, I'm not. I'm not a fan either.
And maybe he's an awesome guy or whatever.
And they're trying really hard to make him one of those faces and put him on a video game. And, even the Michigan, which is phenomenal.
His execution of it is
his Michigan this year is the nastiest.
So I don't know. I don't know. I think I caught in our pregame Wednesday night. One of the, maybe even it was Jen asked him about the Michigan.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of blew it off a little bit, right?
Yeah.
He didn't, which.
I saw this interview.
Did you?
Yeah.
He's
I know
had
exactly what you're talking
terrible
about.
year.
Okay.
And he was like, it sounded like he didn't want to talk about that kind of things. He wants people to take him seriously as a player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. You could almost sense that the world still wants to celebrate it and talk about it, and he didn't want to.
I think he recognizes to get paid, you have to be a winning hockey player.
And he's
not. You can't. He's, to your point, no one's taking him seriously.
Give his numbers.
The most he's known for right now is the Michigan.
Yeah.
And he's not known as a 200-foot player, and he's not seen as a leader, and he's not seen as anything but a guy who can do a trick shot.
Kip, he makes almost $6 million per year, and he has 2 goals in 17 games. So Michigan it up all you like.
Yes.
People want to see you be more effective, period.
Oh, you know who wants to? His general manager, his coach.
Yeah.
And
5.75 for 3 more seasons.
And they did not give him an 8-year deal. Yeah. And he will not be there.
He has to show them that he's a hockey player, not a trick shot artist. And the league over the years has had these amazingly skilled guys. Robbie Schremp was an unbelievable skilled guy and a talented player.
Yeah.
Didn't have the career he maybe could have had with his talent because he kind of got pigeonholed as this trick shot guy.
That's all he is to me right now. Play the right way. Hey, who said
10
that?
minutes ago?
It sounded like you, or I don't know. That sounded like a combination of, was that AI?
Play the right way.
That was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll go through our news and notes. A couple things we got to talk about, including Sid Crosby. Guys, we're not talking about this guy enough. And the incredible season
I'll talk
he's
about him all
having.
day.
Well, we will after the break. Also, we want you to text us some questions, some thoughts at 590-590. It's Off the Rails Friday, which means we'll open it up to whatever you send us the rest of the way. We're back after these words. It's Real Kyper and Bourne. We're on the air.
My mic was off.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's Friday. It's off the rails.
We're actually just saying we're the #1 bar show on earth. All just Sammy's friends texting them pictures of themselves drinking at the bar at 5:30.
Well, it's Friday after all.
It is a good time. This used to be prime time.
Yeah.
So
this is the best
can
time
you
of the week.
explain to me this guy who was at the golf simulator?
Oh, my God. With pleasure.
Yeah.
Jersey Jerry?
Yeah.
This was one of the more remarkable pieces of content, as you will say. Streamed for, I think, 37 hours straight, including him sleeping. They streamed it. He got massages. They brought in a blow-up bed, and all in pursuit of him making a hole-in-one on a simulator because he said he would stream until he made one.
Said he would stream until he made a hole-in-one. 80 yards, Pebble Beach, #7, and he just hit.
He could have been there for months.
I mean, he started developing a blister. It's like game over.
I had before we sold our house, I had a golf simulator in the basement.
Oh, okay.
And I had that thing for 8 years.
Never
Any
made
hole in
one?
ones?
No,
This
no,
guy-
never did.
Well,
And let me
80-yard
tell you
hole.
something. During the pandemic, I was there 4 or 5 hours a day, every day.
My daughter was just born. We had very different pandemic experiences. Let me tell you.
This guy's crushing vino, swinging the club in the basement.
We had 2 kids in a Toronto-sized apartment.
Got my handicap down to a 7.
But it was just because I brought this up to you guys early on in it. I was like, this is hilarious, and you guys are like, okay, buddy, what the hell are you watching? And then it just it swept the internet. Everyone was
To me,
talking about it.
it's not relevant until you're into some endurance feed, which it
Yes.
got there. 2,670
people would-
swings, I think.
People would go on the internet and watch him sleep.
I don't know. I didn't watch that part of it, but yeah,
I'd
you
say
could.
no if I know that my wife didn't sometimes watch random baby eagles in a nest somewhere on the internet. So
That's just
it's
weird.
Sure, it's super weird.
Of course.
Yeah.
But they're kind of weird. That's what they do.
Content, baby.
He made the ace. You both have aces, right? Yeah. I don't have one.
Very young.
I will
Yeah.
never.
You don't.
Yeah, and I won't get one.
I got 2.
Yes, you will. You have 2?
I got 2. My first one, Magna.
Okay.
Uh,
Mr. Not a big deal today.
172.
Wow.
And I'm
Legit
with
as it gets.
Eric Lindros and Rob DeMaio.
Really?
Wow.
And I hit a 7, and we saw it go in, and you would have thought I scored double overtime
Yeah.
in Game 7.
Well, that's
And
the
then-
appropriate reaction.
The Big E stepped on my toe and broke it.
No
on.
way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's Tony Finau with the ace and blowing his ankle out right after.
And then went and shot -3 for the weekend after that at the Masters.
That's right.
Yeah.
My dad has a hole-in-one. His one hole-in-one was at the Clark Gillies golf tournament where he won a Hyundai Santa Fe,
Yeah.
52 dozen golf balls, and a speaker system or something. So he timed his very well.
Yeah, that's nice.
My dad picked up golf at age 63, I think, and had 2.
Sammy, you got time, pal.
Sammy, plenty of time.
Yeah, it's never happening.
I just have a
Plenty
feeling.
of time.
I don't hit him close enough, boys. Sid?
Before Sid, United States takes the World Junior gold medal.
Yeah.
6-2 is the final.
Have you seen Sam's tweet during our show about
no,
this?
I did
Who
not.
cares?
I care about your tweet.
What'd
Well,
you say?
I mean,
This,
it's
Sammy,
snarky.
this is really setting up in the next few years Canada versus the U.S.
Olympics, baby.
Well, yeah. They won. Correct. Obviously, they won. They have a
Nice
very
tips.
good. They have a very good team full of great players.
Yeah.
But Canada had an underwhelming team this year. Of course, the underwhelming team was one where the 2 Leafs prospects were playing for it. That's very nice. Captain, Mr. Minton, underwhelmed a little bit. But they're just kids. We won't get after it. But, if Canada had their eligible players who were playing in the NHL, they win in a walk. They have Bedard on the team. They'll have Fantilli on the team. Zach Benson's playing for them. That Korchinski from who's playing 20 a night for the Blackhawks. Shane Wright's eligible still.
This is his tweet, which is I'm sure Canada would have been out in the
I mean,
quarters
yeah.
with Bedard, Fantilli,
Well, I'm
Benson, Wright, Korchinski, all eligible.
You put more effort in that tweet than you have our whole show.
He
No,
said
it's
America's
true.
guys just can't crack the NHL. That's
America's
the
guys
issue.
just aren't on NHL teams. They're dominating for Boston
I gotta
College,
say.
and
Pretty good point.
it's true. It's like we have these down years at the World Juniors, and it's just the way it works. But a lot of our young guys are really good because they go to the best league and they don't get to play
Are
in this.
busy winning NHL games.
Yeah. So listen, congratulations to USA for winning.
That was the U.S. team. Yeah.
They're good for them.
That was very sincere.
Golf
They-
clap.
Congratulations, America. You did it. I will say though, it's awesome that they're really good.
It is
And
fun.
it's nice to have a threat. It's nice to have a threat to have the best hockey nation. And
Fisticuffs at the end of the game.
I'm
too.
thrilled.
I think they should have a best. I think the real thing should just be a best. They don't need to do this stupid 4-team tournament. Just do a
Canada,
best of
US,
7.
Let's go.
Best of 7, U.S. versus Canada.
Tomorrow.
Would be the greatest hockey thing ever. There'd be no. That's the
Everyone
true
likes
test.
making money. You could sell
Sweden's
some
quite
sponsorships
good.
on that.
Sweden's quite good as well.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I
Be a
think
3-team
America.
tournament. They can come
Yeah,
in.
sure. 7-game series, baby.
Yeah, I don't
Canada,
think that'll
USA.
ever happen.
And by the way, everyone talks about goaltending. Aiden Hill leading the league in goals
Aiden
against
Hill.
and save
I
percentage.
picked him for the Vezina on TV last night.
Love it.
So far, Vezina.
And he, pride of Vancouver Island.
I didn't know Devin Levi was a Canadian. It's nice to have more of them. We got some.
We got guys.
We
We'll
got
be fine. We'll be fine.
Okay. Last night
Speaking of guys who are Canadian,
looked like Pitt very much in control. Boston comes back, but Sid finds a way to get them over the top. I said before the break, like Sid's having another amazing year over the course of his career. I think he's cracked 50 goals just once, and probably in his third or fourth year in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Here he is, turning 37 this summer, and he's on pace for, I think, 50 goals this year.
Yeah.
Like, but
2009, 2010, the only time he cracked 50.
okay,
Inside the top 20 in scoring
what
at
is
age
that, almost
36. That's LeBron, what he's
13,
doing right now.
14 years
Numbers.
ago.
Yep.
So, like, why aren't we talking about this guy more?
You know what's interesting is like even a year or two ago, Crosby was better than people realized. Like all the analytics, all that. He was as valuable to his team as some of the other guys. He really hasn't tailed off much, which obviously physically you have to at his age. So it's incredible that his hockey brain allows him to continue this insanity.
And this isn't a great team.
No, that's for sure.
That Pittsburgh
right?
team.
That's for sure.
How are
So,
they doing right now?
like, he
Bad.
is
Well, not bad.
absolutely carrying them.
Yeah,
Pretty bad.
He's 41 points in
So
37
is
games.
it just
this year.
because maybe for us here in this country that Austin and Connor just suck all the oxygen out of us, and there's really not much room to
Well,
talk about Sid anymore?
it's almost like there's not much to say because he's so consistently good. It's like,
Yeah, he's been.
hey, look, he's still doing the thing he's been doing for as long as most of us have been watching last 20 years.
more than a point per game in all 19 seasons
Yeah.
in his career.
And so, yeah, you're right. There comes a point where you're like, when it maintains that level of consistency, it's worth noting because he should be tailing off and it's just not happening. Incredible season by him. I do think the Penguins are figuring out a little bit, 7-2-1 in their last 10, a point out of the wild card spot now.
Like, Sid scoring 50 goals this year and then missing the playoffs is really gonna suck for him.
National
and
trade to the
Penguin
Montreal
fans.
Canadiens, who he liked as a kid.
He's retiring a Penguin, I'm convinced.
Think so?
Someone actually sent a text. I'm going through our million texts, but I know what it said, so I forget. I can't give him credit. But where would be the most fun Sid end of career destination?
You know what though?
And my vote would be Toronto. Would be my vote.
just a vote.
Yeah,
Just
I
one
don't
vote here.
No reason.
I do think, Edmonton with Connor McDavid
thanks.
would be a little bit of fun.
Go to that.
But I think that guys going home to their favorite teams is nice. But then you see Giroux go to Ottawa when the team isn't ready for him. You know, they're not ready to compete, and it's almost a little disheartening. So Montreal maybe doesn't
No,
quite
it has
work.
to be on a team where we can watch him play in May and June.
Right. So, yeah,
Colorado with Nate.
that's a nice one. I mean,
Yeah, but it's not as fun.
just Toronto for you.
I think
Canucks.
Canada would be awesome
Yeah.
to have him play in Canada
I agree.
If Montreal was better,
for sure.
that would be fun.
That would be
Now, did he
an
grow-
absolute nightmare.
As-
Truly, there
As
would
an
be no greater
Easterner,
nightmare.
did he grow up a Montreal
He
fan?
was, yeah, he loved the Habs.
This is my nightmare.
Yes, correct.
Sammy, you'd love that, right? Him in a Montreal uniform?
There was to be nothing that would make me more sick than
You have said he's your guy, right?
he's my
Like,
favorite.
throw up?
Yes,
Sick?
it's him and Matt Sundin, my two favorite hockey players of all time. I love
Would
Sidney
you
Crosby.
want
Yes,
Sid to win a cup with Montreal?
no chance. He's got 3. Fine. He's got 2 multiple gold medals.
Yeah.
He's got he's fine. But if it's going to be somewhere else where he wins a cup, Colorado's okay.
Yeah.
But the Leafs would be ideal. But yeah,
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
All
First
right, got
team
any text for us? I've
I'm
been
just-
pumping it up like crazy.
I'm just trying to pour through all the text we got here. So I'm getting a couple text about my take on Canada's guys.
Mhm.
They said, "Hey guys, love the show. I hate to call out Sammy because I love the guy,
You shouldn't hate that.
but I think the U.S. team would have been better too with Luke Hughes and Logan Cooley." I hate when people make good
But
points.
two guys, you named 7 Canadians, I think.
Yeah,
Two
Bedard would
guys is not
definitely
7.
Bedard would definitely be the guy that would take it over the top. But yeah, Luke Hughes and
Fair enough.
And where are we on Arizona?
Who cares?
No, I do.
I got a question.
Well, they're
if we
better
care
than
enough to
expected.
talk about Cooley, then we're
They're better than expected, for sure.
I have a question here.
I have a thought on that after.
What do you think Draisaitl will get for his new contract?
I love this conversation.
Put your names on the text. So I
I
can read
think
it on
the
the air.
Coyotes should be buyers. To your point before, I think that would be fascinating to see them try to get aggressive.
Yeah.
Draisaitl, I think this guy is really interesting guy. I really like Leon Draisaitl. Like, he's one of my favorite guys to listen to. I think his pissiness is hilarious.
Simmons. What do you think Spec gets?
I'm curious to see if Leon wants to dig in or if he's a guy who just doesn't want the stress. And just if he wants to dig in, he could probably make a case for $15
million
per season.
More than Matthews?
I mean, he's won a Hart Trophy as well.
Mm-hmm.
His point totals have been higher than Matthews pretty much all the way along. Matthews.
15 million. You're nuts. 15 million.
I think the contracts are going to go up.
I don't think my buddy here is that far
The
off.
salary cap is going to the moon.
Listen,
over
I
the next
love driving
5
the
years.
price up of Edmonton Oilers players. So sure, 15 million,
I
but
mean,
that's crazy.
Great
If he wanted to dig, Edmonton
Yeah.
cannot afford to have him leave. You can't trade Leon Draisaitl. You got to pay him what he wants.
It's just not trading Leon. It's
Now what do you do with Connor?
What message are you sending to 97 if you're moving this guy? McJesus.
You're sending a message that, anyways,
But-
we'll save that one for a different day about McDavid.
Like, you are at the point, Sammy,
Yes.
where you are thinking about both Draisaitl and McDavid together. So it's not what you're going to give Draisaitl. It's what are you going to pay these guys together? And I think it's a minimum of 32 million between the two. How do you want to break it up, boys? You want to go right down the middle? Or Connor, do you want to make $1 million more than him?
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to make $3 million more than Leon?
Should.
Yeah, probably.
But will someone be out there willing to pay Leon almost as much as Edmonton's going to pay Connor?
Connor's
These are all
just
the
going to take.
questions.
He's just going to take less and sign for 8 years and just be there.
Yeah,
just
I'm not
be
so
no,
sure
no
about that.
complaint.
What is
Also, like-
less, though? What is
But
less?
he'll just take under market value for 8 years and just play there his whole career, and we'll never talk about it. Like, we have to talk about everything in Toronto. He'll be like, "Yep, I'll sign on the dotted line. Good Canadian boy." Boop boop boop. And all the guys here are like, "Let's make it." Let's
32 is wild though, because now you're talking 17, 15.
Here's another question. What's my team look like then? I've spent half my career in the prime years not coming close to a Stanley
Are we
Cup.
winning? Are we
Am I signing
competitive?
another 8 years to be that guy who is a Hall of Famer but never got a sniff so I can listen to everybody go, hey, good player, but what did he ever win?
And your
That sucks.
Draisaitl is a
For
year
those
later than
stars,
Matthews.
just ask Charles Barkley. That's all he deals with.
Right.
What did you win?
Yeah, he won millions and millions of dollars.
And they can too.
This is from Kevin. Boys, we need 2 7-game series, Canada, USA, and Sweden versus Finland. Keep more players, fans involved. That would be electric.
But then you can play in the final after.
Yeah, 3-gamer in the final.
Okay, guys, it's the weekend.
Oh my God, is it?
Rest and relax.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
Our thanks to head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Kris Knoblauch, and Off the Rails Friday specialist, Doug MacLean.
I can't think of 2 more different people.
Well said. Well said.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you get a chance, give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. As always, we appreciate you. Have a great weekend.